The world doesn't want me to finish the SNES quest. First it's the vet giving me mechanical problems, then the IRS comes knocking for $19,000, and now something else happened. I'm driving down the highway the other day, and I look up and you can see these birds just circling around the highway. And not these tiny little sparrow birds, I'm talking about massive hawks or vultures or something like that. And as I'm minding my own business with the cruise control set at 72 miles an hour, out of nowhere I hear this massive thud and the whole truck just shakes. One of these birds had swooped down for food and ran right into the front fender of my truck. After he hit the front fender, he flew back and hit the mirror and disconnected the mirror from the mirror housing. So about a mile down the highway from where this happened, there was a rest area. And I stopped at the rest area and I got out to look at the mirror. And I was so focused on the mirror and the disconnected mirror from the mirror housing, I didn't even see that there was a massive dent. Like the whole fender was pushed into the hood. So here I am dealing with the IRS trying to figure out if I'm gonna owe them money. Yeah, an audit, what a nightmare. So everything I sold in 2022, which was $34,000, they want $19,000 of that. So I'm having to go through and find all these documents and receipts from years back, trying to prove what I paid for some of these items so I'm not fully taxed like I made pure profit off of everything. And I do a lot of buying and selling on eBay. So I went back as far as I could, which is 2017 on eBay, to look up all the purchases, everything I bought since 2017. And I know some of the stuff that I sold in 2022 was purchased before 2017. But all I can do is prove back to 2017. So I go to start printing all my purchased items, and our printer just quits. So then I had to go buy a new printer and new ink cartridges because I knew I was going to be printing a lot. And I spent 6 hours yesterday printing out everything I've bought since 2017. And the tax audit specialist that's helping me, that I paid for through TurboTax, I pay for that every year, never had to use it until now, so I'm glad I paid for it. But they need all these documents ready to go by tomorrow. So I had to go into work today and tell my boss that I need to take leave for the rest of the week because I need to get these taxes in order. So I got back home at about 7:30 a.m. this morning and I worked straight until 3:30 in the afternoon. I only took a 15-minute lunch break in between. The rest of the time I spent hunting for every single item I purchased that I had sold in 2022. I also had to go and find all my shipping receipts where I bought boxes and tape and bubble wrap. And I also got to find a copy of my orders to Kuwait, because in 2022 I deployed to Kuwait and there's 7 months that I was over there total that's supposed to be tax-free. Kuwait is a tax-free zone. So I shouldn't have to pay any taxes for that span of 7 months. So finally, everything added together, plus the tax-free, came out to almost $36,000. So in the end, them auditing me, now they're gonna owe me money. That didn't work out the way you planned, did it? But yeah, even though this accident wasn't our fault, this bird was diving in the blind spot. So you know how you have the windshield and then the driver's side window, there's that little pillar that goes down there? The bird was diving and hidden behind that pillar the entire time. So after this bird wrecks my truck, it's not my fault, but there wasn't another car involved. So that means I gotta pay the $500 deductible. And after doing that, they're gonna raise our insurance like $24 a month. I don't wanna pay an extra $24 a month because some stupid bird flew into the side of my truck. All these roadblocks, man, I just wanna buy games with my money. But anyways, today we have 5 more games that we'll be adding to the collection. Let's check them out. And the first game up is Brutal Paws of Fury. Brutal Paws of Fury was developed by Eurocom and published by GameTech. It released for the Super NES in 1994. Brutal Paws of Fury is a fighting game where you can choose from 7 different fighters. You have a bunny, cheetah, coyote, rat, lion, fox, and a bear. Use all the buttons to play. The D-pad is used to jump, crouch, and block. Y, X, and L are your light, medium, and hard kick. And B, A, and R are your light, medium, and hard punches respectively. Each character has special moves, but they have to learn them as they progress through the game. At first I thought that was a cool feature, but the big problem with that is the computer already has all the special moves. So the game is pretty difficult because of that. Your opponent is pulling off all these extreme attacks while you're just stuck with lame punches and kicks. And some opponents like to spam special moves where you can't even move at all. It's ridiculous. Another downfall in the game is the hit detection seems off at times. Some attacks that shouldn't have landed worked, while other attacks that should have hit the opponent didn't. You get 3 continues before a game over. Luckily there's a password system, but the passwords are absurdly long. The graphics are good, but they're very plain. There's not a whole lot of detail in the game. They did, however, match the music to fit the game perfectly. Overall, Brutal Paws of Fury isn't a great fighting game. There are much better fighting games to play on the SNES, so I'd avoid this one. Brutal Paws of Fury is game number 174 for the collection, and I got the box for $14 shipped. Then I found the manual for $10 shipped, and I found the card at a local game store for $10 as well. And that brings our total up to $34. And at $34, that brings our total up to $29,647 for the collection. And the next game up is ABC Monday Night Football. ABC Monday Night Football was developed and published by Data East, releasing for the SNES in 1993. Monday Night Football feels pretty much like a bare bones football game. There isn't a whole lot of options compared to some of the other football games we've covered. For example, you don't even get to pick the team you play against. The game is set up just like any other typical football game on the SNES. You choose your play and execute it. The graphics are grainy and the frame rate is a bit choppy. It also seems like your teammates can't catch the most simple passes. My last complaint is with the spin move. You're supposed to be able to avoid tackles by hitting the L or R button to do a spin move. However, the control for this is often unresponsive, and even if it works, I was unable to avoid tackles. All the other controls felt great though. The gameplay is actually pretty decent. In some football games we played, playing defense felt near impossible at times. In this game, I was making interceptions like a boss. And while playing offense, I was able to pull off some pretty stellar plays. I doubt I'll revisit this game anytime soon, but despite the grainy graphics and slightly choppy frame rate, ABC Monday Night Football isn't that bad of a game. ABC Monday Night Football is game number 175 for the collection, and I got it for $15 at a local game store. And at $15, that brings our total up to $29,662 for the SNES Quest. And the next game up is Dennis the Menace. Dennis the Menace was developed and published by Ocean, releasing for the Super NES in 1993. Dennis the Menace is based off a movie of the same name. Mr. Wilson's coin collection is missing, as well as Dennis's friends Margaret and Joey. You start the game at Mr. Wilson's house with only a squirt gun. Dennis must find a slingshot and pea shooter in the house that Mr. Wilson confiscated from him. But you have to be careful not to get caught by Mr. Wilson. Each level has a time limit. If you run out of courage, which is your health, you start back at the beginning of the level, but the time doesn't start over. So you can start the level over without enough time to finish the level. Just like in Super Alfred Chicken. One feature in the game that really comes in handy is using the L and R buttons to view areas that wouldn't normally be visible. It doesn't only come in handy, it's required in some areas. The controls are good, and you use all the buttons to play the game. A fires your weapon, B jumps, Y allows you to run, and X changes your weapon. The music and visuals are well done, but I found the enemies to be pretty boring. Dennis the Menace is an okay platforming game. It's not a must play, but it's not terrible. Dennis the Menace is game number 176 for the collection, and price charting has it at $29. And at $29, that brings our total up to $29,691 for the Super NES Complete in Box Quest. And the next game up is Head-On Soccer. Head-On Soccer was developed by Silicon Dream Studio and published by US Gold. It kicked into stores in 1995. Head-On Soccer takes an arcade-style approach to the game. I tend to favor arcade sports games over simulation ones, but I have mixed feelings about this one. Starting off, it really lacks in options and gameplay modes. You can only choose from exhibition or tournament. There isn't a penalty kick or training mode. That's kind of a bummer. However, you do get 51 countries to choose from, which is cool. The gameplay is fast-paced. You have regular players and star players. It seemed like the opponent's star player always had the ball. Star players can do special moves that are super effective. Your standard players can only pass, shoot, headshot, and tackle. The visuals, sound, and controls are all great, but the gameplay can get pretty frustrating. I was never able to keep the ball for more than a few seconds. I was constantly being tackled and fouled as soon as I touched the ball. I would try to pass the ball as soon as I made contact, but the other team would already be stealing it away. The game allows you to play with 4 other players using the multi-tap, and I think the game would be a lot of fun with friends. But if you want to play a soccer game by yourself, there are better ones to choose from on the system. Head-On Soccer is game number 177 for the collection, and I found the box for $28 shipped. Then I found the manual for $44 shipped. And I found the card at a local game store for $10. And that brings our total up to $82. And at $82, that brings our total up to $29,773 for the SNES Quest. So this is a pretty uncommon game. Mostly the manual is the hardest part to find with this one. And a lot of these are listed for $250 and up on eBay. So to get it for under $100, I'm happy with that. And the next game up is the Blues Brothers. The Blues Brothers was developed and published by Titus swinging onto the Super Nintendo in 1992. The Blues Brothers are back to play the blues. On their way to their first concert, they encounter a jukebox and decided to listen to some good music. But as soon as they approach it, they get trapped by the evil machine. Now they must escape or they won't be able to play the blues. You play as Jake or Elwood, both if you're playing a 2-player game. To escape the evil machine, you have to make it through 34 levels, 25 if you're playing 2 players. Your weapons are records that you throw at enemies. Records are limited and you need to collect them in each level. The levels are also timed. Some levels you have to sprint through to make it to the end on time. You start out with 3 lives and 5 continues, but there is a level that you can cheat the system with by loading up on 1-ups and purposely dying to play the level again and load up on more. The levels are short and have the perfect difficulty level, so it makes the game enjoyable. There's a lot of detail in the game and the music is upbeat. The controls work as they should and the gameplay is fun. Overall, if you like platforming games, I highly recommend giving Blues Brothers a shot. I'll definitely come back to this game for a full playthrough. The Blues Brothers is game number 178 for the collection, and I have $80 in trade for it. And at $80, that brings our total up to $29,853 for the Super Nintendo Complete in Box Quest. Let's get these games on the shelf. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to subscribe. I'm completing the entire Super Nintendo library, complete in box, right here on this show. Also make sure to leave a thumbs up for the Blues Brothers. Until next time, I'm Gamer Wayne, and thanks for watching.